So hi everybody and welcome back to the Unreal Engine 5 full game tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 9 and in this video we are continuing with our widget. We want to implement the button and the exit button. So you see I already changed it a little bit, but we have a problem. Before we can implement this one here and test our implementation, we have to add this widget to our game. It is just created. We have just created this widget. So how we make this, there are different places you can use: the game mode, the character, or level blueprint. In my case I use the game mode, but when we go to the game mode, here I have activated the world settings. The world settings you can activate here in Windows, goes here to world settings, and then you have this part here, and then go and scroll down here to this game mode, and then you have something like that. The third person template comes already with a pre-made, for example, with this BP third person template mode. You can use this one, you can build on this one, you can click here this envelope, open up this one and build on this one, or you just can create your own one, which we are going to do. And important is that you assign here a game mode, and then you can see the game mode has here subclasses. Subclasses means these classes are also very important classes, but the most important class is the game mode because this game mode is loaded at the start. But you can see the subclasses is, one of them is this character, for example, a third person template. This third person mode here needs a character. Then there is a HUD class, player controller. These are very important classes as well, and the other one also, but this HUD class, I'm not even using it, but you can read this in the description if you like it, because I won't just use the game mode itself. And why am I want to use it? Because like I said, the game mode is the first thing which is loaded when the game starts. And from this game mode, I want to call directly our widget and add it here to the screen. Alright, with that said, let's do this. So first of all, let's say you are creating your own game mode. What you can do is just go to your game, right click here, go to blueprint class, and here is a game mode base. This is one for single player that you can use, but if you want, you can also search here in all classes here on the drop down and write here game mode. And then you have here a little bit more options. There is the other one for multiplayer, I think, but we are concentrating on the base, so you can just click this one here, and then you create here your one. Let's call this game underscore game for test purposes, game mode game. And then you double click on it. Then you see here, it looks like a blueprint. And then you can go here to construction script. There is nothing. Viewport has most time nothing, and then event graph, and here we implement our logic. One more thing, in game mode here on top you see this class settings, and here on the class settings in the details panel on the right side you have here some options. Let's see what options we have. Here's the parent class. That's not that was not the place where I wanted to go, sorry for that. Let's see, not class setting, class defaults. I wanted to go to class defaults, not class settings. So you go here to class defaults, and here this is the classes, and this one here, when I go outside, you see these are the subclasses which you can set then here as well. Here you can see set the session, the game state class, the controller class, state class, HUD class, player, and so on. And here you can assign them as well. And yeah, just as an info, but you can do this later here as well. But before we go on, let's do now our implementation. Our goal is just add the widget here at start, when, and like I said, the game mode loads first, and when the game mode loads, I want that the game mode say, hey widget, please start as well. And where we do this in the event graph. Here is this node event begin play. It's just grayed out. It looks only like this, but when you drag out this one, then it will work. And if it's not here, you can even search this, right click here, write event begin play. This is all time the start node. Is very standard standard here, and then from here you drag out, and then you search, for example, to add our widget we have to create it. Careful, creating means not adding. To write here create widget, it's all time the standard. Then you select here in the class your widget which you created, in my case game menu, and then this one will create this one, but like I said, it is not adding, it is just creating this one. And then from the return value, then you say this is created, now we want added to the viewport. Adding viewport means adding to this scene here, okay? And then you say here add to viewport. So viewport means normally add just to the camera, which is all time here. If you're asking where's the camera, here later when the game starts has a camera and it is just added in front of it, more like this. And then this could almost work, but we have problems. So what is the problem? So when I go here back, the first thing what you have to do is you go again to world settings here. You find this one here again in window, here in world settings. And in world settings, you go here down and change this game mode override to your game mode what you created. I created just game, so I find game, and then you can see there is game mode GM game. That is what I created. And here I have one problem. First problem is I have no character, because like I said, you have to set the default settings here. The character, nice thing is you can set it now here, or if you want you can, like I said before, class defaults, set it here. Both are the same. Let's do it here. Here is the default pawn, and let's say I use the third person character, so I can still use the character in my game mode as well. This is just assignment, which character you use, and that's very handy. And then we have other problems. So I start a game. You can see the widget is indeed in my viewport here. This is starting. But the problem is when I click here on the scene, my mouse disappears and I can't select the buttons. So we are not finished, which means we have to do a little bit more. And the thing what we do is we have to tell the engine that the controller, because my mouse is used by the player controller, has the mouse is controlling it. The player controller should show the mouse, so let him not disappear, and the controller should focus on this widget which we created, not on the game behind the scene. I want not that it is going in game, should stay on the widget. So these two things, how we make this: right click here in the game mode again. I'm back to my game mode, right click here, search for player controller, and let's say here get player controller, something like this. Get player controller. This get player controller is standard. It will get the player controller which is selected here. We have only one player controller, it's a single player, so it will be all time the player controller when you start the game, which is automatically by default there, and it is starting with index 0. Index 0 is just coming from programming. It's the first element in this case. And important is if you have a multiplayer, then it's not 0, because this player controller says this is your mouse. But in a multiplayer, let's say there is another player, then you have to say, okay, player 1 has index 0, player 2 has index 1, then the player 3 has index 2 or something like that, and then you say you are using your index when you want to with your mouse something. But in our case, we don't care about this one. So here I want to say now, please don't disappear, for example. You can write show mouse cursor. This is a variable. You have to set this. This is in the player controller, and then here set show mouse cursor. This is just a Boolean variable, very simple. And a Boolean variable means you can tick here yes and no. That's all doing, and it says I will show it or I will not show it, and you tick this and say yes, please show it. And the next thing is we want focus on this widget instead of game, because like I said, you can focus your mouse here in this game 3D world or on the widget which we add here on the screen. So let's do this here as well. Say the player controller mouse, please concentrate on the widget, and the node is set input mode. And you go here to input mode and you have your three options. So we are interested in the bottom two, which means UI only or game only. But the other thing is in special cases that you are focusing on both. Normally you are focusing on the UI, or normally you're focusing on the game. Well, when you are open up a widget. So in our case, we are focusing on the UI, because at start, at the menu, you want to click buttons. That's why you want focusing on the user interface, which we just created. And then it says here focus widget. We don't need it because if you have different widgets here, then you can select here the other widgets if you have to focus one. We are focusing anyway only in the one widget which we have. And then it says here do not lock during development. I use here do not lock. Do not lock means when I start here this game, I can go out. You can see I can go out from this border here. If I lock, I can't go out. And that's very important that you change this one later. For example, lock always for when you finalize the game. Because if the player plays the game, you want not that he goes accidentally out while he is playing the game. Because, for example, he is running here in a danger zone and then he accidentally goes out, can't control the character and the character dies. That would be really annoying. But during development, you see it's annoying for me. That's why I have to press now F8 to go out here. And yeah, that's why I keep here do not lock during development, but later change this. All right, with that said, we are almost finished to set up this one. The last thing perhaps we can do here as well is a comment. You select all, press C for commenting, and then you write a comment, adding menu to viewport, something like that, viewport. And then selecting here the color perhaps and give it a color. I make it only this white and then down, and this color indicates all is fine. For I have other colors which indicates it's test purposes or other things like that, but this is a color code you can use your own. And one more thing, if you see something like this happen, something so and you say, oh my god, it takes me too long to make this straighten, there is a shortcut in Unreal Engine. So you select all that what you want, straighten the line, and in my case it's the Q key, and then I press Q and you can see it straighten, and then you can just assign this and make this look readable, more readable and easy, instead having in this so-called spaghetti code. And if it's not the keyboard Q on your side, and you have to go to the editor preference or project setting and look the input and find how to straighten, because it's defined there anyway. All right, with that said, we are finished. We have now implemented our widget to the scene, and you can see next video we will now implement display. I have here already implemented this. Why it's working on your side, it should not work. Because I have already implemented this widget here. All right, with that said, I stop here the video. If you have any questions, like all time, write in the comment section. See you in the next video where we implement the buttons so that you can also start and quit the game. And for those people, here a side note, who already know your main menus and this kind of stuff, you should to improve this knowledge, just reuse the code what you have, but improve it. Try to find more advanced techniques online, more best practice techniques, more performance techniques, and so all this kind of stuff. But this kind of stuff I'm not doing right now here, because this is for absolute beginners, and we beginner need only the basics to add this and so on. All right, with that said, see you in the next. Bye and good luck.